Hi guys, my name's Doug. Welcome to my messy garage. You may recall, if you've been watching my videos for a while, that I mentioned had a little bit of a casualty here when I was driving this pontoon boat home. Wood at the bottom of the original console has failed. My plan was to do a little bit of repair and basically make this one work for the time being. However, a good friend of mine pointed out that having a properly functioning console is kind of a bit of a safety issue. So I decided that we don't really want to try and resurrect this one and have it fall off in your lap when you hit a wave. So we've got some deckmate boxes here that we need to deal with. Follow along as we put the new deckmate large console together from pontoonstuff.com. Before we begin the actual installation of the new console, we're going to have to take the old one apart. But step one, let's unbox the new one and see what it looks like. This is the bottom section. I don't know how well this shows up on camera. This is pretty nice rotationally molded plastic. It feels like it's got some actual density to it. Windshield. It looks like some kind of mounting hardware for the little tiny plexiglass windshield. And there is the base section, with a big warning in the bottom: not designed to be freestanding, backrest must be supported. Okay, it doesn't have a backrest. Base must be secured to deck before use. Okay, we got that. Does not provide dry storage. Contents may get wet. Okay, so that's the base. And we got some assembly instructions that have absolutely nothing to do with a console. And we do have some screws for, I assume, mounting this down to the deck. Well, they certainly weren't kidding about this being a large console. This is the back of the steering. This cable, Teleflex cable, goes back down to the motor. This other side is just where the excess goes when you turn the steering. Here we have our switches that run the different accessories. There are some lights on this boat. This was the trim, or is the trim switch up here, but the cable for the trim is pulled back down through and resting on the top of the pontoon. I'd shown that to you guys when we were doing the evaluation video. This is the back of the ignition switch, which we'll have to pull out of there and try and keep it relatively together. The rest of these, I think we can throw a quick label on them and disconnect them from wherever they are connected. So the first switch that we have here is an up, gives us nav lights. Down gives us anchor position, and there's only one wire coming off of it. something tells me we weren't using an anchor light on this boat, and I don't see any wiring at the back for an anchor light, but we'll label that nav. And the next two are labeled accessories. Well, we'll just label this accessory 1 and accessory 2, I guess. Chances are pretty good before we're done with this boat I'm going to end up rewiring everything anyways, so I did buy some nice marine cable. So accessory 1 ties into that red wire. And accessory 2. Gray wire wherever it goes. Brown. It's tied into a bunch of blacks. I'm going to guess that's probably our ground. Ooh, Scotch locks. Yuck. And I think we'll put a ground question mark on this one. Possibly that goes up to the lights that were at the front. So the steering, we pull this pin. Well, that pin in this is supposed to work its way back, but I think what we're going to actually do, leave the pin installed, and I'm going to take the big nut that's on the steering shaft out and take the cover off of the steering shaft, and then we can just undo the whole thing and hopefully drop it down back this way. And it's much easier to take apart than it is trying to do it up inside of this console. And I just need to finish taking off the last few turns on the ignition switch. I don't really want to disconnect the ignition switch if I can get away with leaving it all put together. Not that chasing wires really bothers me, but why make more work for myself? Of course, spraying that down with oil is going to make painting that darn near impossible. That was my original plan. One key removed. It's actually a good thing that it was rusted in there like that, otherwise it probably would have grown legs over the years and then I wouldn't have a key. Kind of hoping I can get this paint off and get it back to that black color. That would be nice. So it looks like 3, I'm going to say 1/2-inch bolts, and then the steering assembly will drop back down out of the console. Let me go grab some tools. So I was wrong, it's actually 7/16. There's 3 out. And one more item that I want to salvage for now is the trim switch, if it'll come out of here. Well, hopefully that still works. Since we've got nylocks in the back side of the mounting bracket for the steering, we'll use an electric tool. Washer nut. And that is the mounting bracket. Basically, we are done with this old console. So my plan is to shove the rest of the cables, etc., down through the floor just to get them out of the way for mounting the new console in place. And so what we've done here is I've just unscrewed this aluminum nut off of here and work the cable back out of the steering box. And since it's all coated in grease, we'll take a plastic bag, poke on it so it doesn't cover it all. There we go. Now we'll see if we can work this back down the hole. The steering cable's fairly stiff, so it might not cooperate. And one problem we've got is that these mounting brackets for the old console are through bolted through the deck, and that is going to be a little bit of a challenge to deal with, because they, of course, on the underside, you can see kind of how rusty they are up here. On the underside, they're just as bad. I think what I'm going to have to do is fire up a angle grinder with a cutoff disc and knock all 6 of those off. Let me bring you around to the other side, or the underside, and I'll show you what I mean. I don't know how well this is going to show up on the camera, but there's 3 bolts here, and then over on this other side, 1, 2, and then one up here somewhere that we've got to knock out of there. I think I'm going to get the angle grinder and go underneath the boat and see if I can get them from there. See if we can break these off now. Oh, easy. So, let's see. So now that we've got the battery on charge on the camera, pry bar, we get it in beside the bolt and out it pops. There we go. I think I want to see how it's going to fit in place with using the seat. I've kind of got it set where I want it. Good position. It's pretty well where it was before. I won't claim that this is the most comfortable boat seat in the world. A little bit loose, and I don't know. It's just what was here. One thing I have discovered using the existing mounting hardware for the steering, it wants to mount the steering wheel kind of like that. So I have ordered a 90-degree C-star mount that will mount the steering wheel more along the lines of that, which I think is just about perfect for what I want. The center, I think, is a little more over this way just because it's a bigger console. I'm fairly happy with it. I've left a couple of inches between the rail and the side of the console. The console, there's more than enough room for me to get my hand between the top of the shifter and the edge of the console. As I said, kind of thinking maybe going with a binnacle, but I'm kind of liking this old beast here. Give it a little cleanup, it'll be nice. Enough room for my knees. It could probably come back, but maybe a little bit. again, I don't want to pinch my hand. That's about as far back as I can bring it with the position of the shifter. Now I plan on taking the shifter apart anyways. There's a bunch of stuff in behind, and there's like bolts sticking way out here. And basically it needs to be remounted. So I could conceivably bring it back just a little bit if I needed to. And for that matter, I could move the pedestal for the seat if I really had to as well. But I think that's, I'm liking that. That's the station I wanted. And I think that's pretty good. Well guys, I think this is as good a place as any to end this video. Be sure to check back for the next episode of Project Pontoon Build, where we continue installing the rest of the steering console. Thanks for watching.